All right, thank you all so much for being here. We really appreciate your time. There's a lot going on right now throughout the conference, so that you're here to learn and listen about GitHub. You know, Matt and I are really grateful for that. So just by way of introduction, my name is Kevin Allwell, and I'm a solutions engineer at GitHub.
Yeah, hi. All right. Not used to hand mics. All right, so yeah, my name is Matt Desmond. I'm an implementation engineer over at GitHub. So I go around and teach people how to use Git and GitHub on a regular basis.
Great. All right, so the content that we have prepared to share with you all is kind of varying in breadth and depth. So hopefully there's something here for everyone. I think a little earlier on, if you're a business persona, then maybe it might be a little bit more interesting for you, so tune in there, and hopefully later on as well. But if you're an engineer, we do get a little bit deeper towards the end. We'll start to talk about some of the more advanced features that you can implement across your enterprise with GitHub. So there's something for everyone. There's 45 minutes that we have. If we don't get through everything, then of course, the content will be shared afterwards. You can always come up, or review our documentation, where we always like to share that externally. So okay, actually, clicker's not hooked up. So,
oh, right.
Yeah. So let's just, beautiful. So, what are we actually going to be talking about? And you have to excuse me, we switched off of the slides earlier on, so I may be looking over here. But we're going to talk at a high level about GitHub, at least initially. Talk about how our enterprise customers are using that and what we're seeing, what we're seeing in terms of the market and the ecosystem, the types of advancements we've noticed, certain features that we've released because we found other things becoming commoditized. So that's kind of a sneak peek into what we'll be talking about. We'll touch on open source, because you can't have a GitHub session where you don't talk about open source. And then we'll turn that internally, so applying the open source concept and model philosophy to your enterprise. And this is something that we've seen as a main value driver for companies that are adopting GitHub. And maybe you have too, if you've already adopted GitHub Enterprise. The reuse of code, the collaboration aspects, definitely really important for our customers. And of course, with that, we'll talk about collaborating on GitHub and a whole lot more. So there's a lot, there's a lot in here. We have a lot to go over. So why don't we just get on with it here? So who uses GitHub? This is somewhat of an antiquated but still interesting persona pyramid is what I called it. I don't know what our marketing team actually calls it, but it's a pyramid, and inside that pyramid are a list of features that different personas within an enterprise leverage day to day. So you can see on the top you have search. The bottom left is issues. Then furthest right you'd have something like what an individual contributor would use. Actually opening pull requests and making changes on your code base. Next slide, please. So the developer persona, right? These are the people who kind of live in GitHub day to day. They're making contributions to your applications. They're delivering features. They're patching bugs, the whole bit. So what you'll notice as we kind of move forward through the persona pyramid, if you could just take a snapshot of this in your mind, this is probably who GitHub was, at least initially, and still is very much optimized for, right? Your developer persona. So they're using a whole slew of features left to right to make contributions, to deliver software, higher quality software that's better tested, more secure, faster, right? That's kind of like our philosophy there. So next slide. Okay, so what I did want to talk to you about is not just some of those features that you're probably really familiar with, right? But also introduce some other fun concepts. So if you're already familiar with GitHub Actions, or maybe you're not, that's a feature that's going GA on November 13th at GitHub Universe. And when I started talking, I said we started to notice in the ecosystem that some features were becoming commoditized, right? And I think one of those features, one of the aspects of GitHub that we thought we needed was not just a feature for automation, but also for CI/CD, right? And so that's what a lot of our customers have been asking for. Maybe some of you in the audience here, have even, spoken to your account managers or sent a message to the team, hey, it makes sense to have CI/CD native on GitHub. And so in order to enable the developer persona, we've delivered Actions, which is native CI/CD on GitHub scoped to your repository. Okay, and so your pipelines are written out in a really nice, we'll talk on Wednesday, I think, a little bit more in depth about how they're written out, but your pipelines are scoped to your repository, stored as YAML, sitting alongside your code, kind of where you'd expect it to be, right? So that philosophy of everything as code definitely stands true. and Actions certainly subscribes to that. Next slide. So GitHub Package Registry, one more click. Yeah, GitHub Package Registry is basically going to be the place where you store your build artifacts, your binaries, right? So if you're going to deploy your applications and if you're using something like Actions to actually ship software, Package Registry is scoped to your repository. So you have your source code. You also have now your binaries from that source code, right, when you actually do your builds. And you can deploy directly from there. So you have your actions where you're running your CI/CD. So you're pulling from your package registry and pushing out to your infrastructure. Okay? And this is scoped at 2 levels. This is scoped to your organization, and it's scoped to your repository. So we want to give you that ability to kind of go full circle with your SDLC, right? A lot of these features are now not just enabling you to store your code, version your code, kind of how we think of maybe similar platforms in the past, but now we're delivering other value-added features, keeping your developers inside the platform where they're most comfortable to work, right? Next slide. All right, so this is when I started to talk about some of the other business personas that this pyramid satisfies. So there is a lesser known, maybe, feature, which is GitHub projects and milestones within GitHub. So you can actually create a Kanban board style flow inside of GitHub. Now, for those of you who are already familiar with the platform, you may be using it yourselves, or you're thinking about using it. If you're not using GitHub projects, that's OK. We also have native integrations with Azure boards, Jira, any of the modern planning tools. GitHub has really nice pre-built integrations for. So you'll find that out of the box. Beautiful, thank you. So project managers too, what we've found is, in most cases with our enterprise customers, there's a best of breed approach. Okay, so you want to use the tooling that you know and love from whichever provider it is that you use. So we have best-in-class integrations for that, but if you have maybe a simpler use case, some smaller projects, this is the type of feature that you yourselves might get into is projects. And just touching on it quickly, and then I want to do a little bit of a looking under the hood with some of the security features we've been shipping. For infrastructure and security, we've been making huge investments. So if you look back to GitHub Satellite that was in Berlin a few weeks ago, or if you're looking forward to Universe next week, you'll notice that we're making enormous investments in security. Okay, so DevSecOps, right, that everything ops, we definitely subscribe to that model. We're making some really interesting ships here. So in terms of our hosted on-premise solution, we're always keeping in mind disaster recovery, high availability, geo-replication, and hot patching. But what's really interesting, next slide, are some of the things we've been doing in this space. So GitHub is the center, is very fortunate to be the center of the open source community, right? And so with that, we're afforded a certain degree of privilege, I would say. So what this slide is actually indicating is there is this feature, it's called Security Vulnerability Alerts, okay? And what that feature does is it scans your manifest file, so it scans your application dependencies from your repository and alerts you automatically, hey, there's a known vulnerability in your app, right? So it alerts you in email, UI, and CLI for your developers. This way, everyone can ignore it everywhere they go. So, white source is, you may already be familiar with white source, but essentially it's a trove of information of known vulnerability data that we are now pulling from and integrating into vulnerability alerts. But a lesser known advantage that GitHub has, because they're the home of the open source community, is that we are also providing a way for open source maintainers to report vulnerabilities on their open source projects before submitting them or making that information public on the NVD, National Vulnerability Database. So what that means is for enterprise folks or for enterprise developers, for anybody who's using the enterprise platform, you'll have up-to-date information on known vulnerabilities for open source projects across the world, right? Kind of as those vulnerabilities are being reported by the open source maintainers themselves, right? And the only reason we have that, the only reason we have that ability is because the open source community lives there, and we try to use that to the best of our advantage to share those insights back out with the folks who are using the platform. So I just thought that was really interesting. I hope you do too. And it's also an example of some of the ways we're investing in the security aspects of securing your SDLC. So a lot of you giggled when I said that we don't patch our known vulnerabilities because a lot of us have been guilty of that, especially as an individual contributor. I know I have. You literally, you see that you have a known vulnerability, you know the severity is high or critical, and you still ignore it because you got better things to do, right? You want to build a feature. So what this does is we made an acquisition. We announced it back at Satellite in Berlin a few weeks ago. Dependabot is a GitHub app, okay? GitHub app is just a mode of integration with GitHub. And what it does is it picks up on that trove of known vulnerabilities within your application, and it opens a pull request automatically in your repo. Okay, so we're automating the patching of those known vulnerabilities across your apps. Now, again, you could ignore those pull requests just as you have been doing, but if not, maybe you want to have your security engineers who are starting to shift left, meaning they're starting to become a little bit more integrated with your development lifecycle. Maybe they'll go in and look at those pull requests, and you can actually get pretty granular with not only seeing that there is a vulnerability, but where was the patch made, right? Because that patch was done on GitHub on some repository somewhere, and who did it? Because the GitHub repository will also be linked. Thank you. All right, so this one, I have to be honest, I don't know that much about advanced security. Now, the reason I don't know a lot about it is because I haven't done my due diligence, and it's a new acquisition that we did, okay? So we acquired this company, it's called Semel, a few weeks back, and we're working on integrating it into the platform. But essentially, what Semel does, which is now being rebranded as GitHub Advanced Security, and the vision for it is every time your developers push code, we're not just going to do a static code analysis. We all are probably familiar with various static code analysis tools. But we're going to allow you to do two other things. So we're going to allow you to do variant code analysis, which is an evolution of static code analysis. So we're basically taking not only we're not only taking a known trove of vulnerability data, so any patterns that match a known vulnerability, but we're generating new patterns based on those previous patterns with machine learning, right? So you're getting an expansion of known vulnerabilities by using this variant code analysis tool instead of static code analysis. So it's more comprehensive. You get less false positives, which is an enormous drain on resources for your security engineers. So I said that there were two things. So there's the variant code analysis. So there's a variant code analysis. It'll come back to me later on. So let's just move on from here. But advanced security is basically going to allow your developers, as they're pushing code to your repositories, to identify vulnerabilities or vulnerable patterns, while they're actually pushing their code. Next slide, please. Great. Other great features I just thought would be interesting to mention and share with you. Token scanning. So we do native token scanning on GitHub, and we're continuously adding vendors there. So if you're like me and you've accidentally pushed your secure credentials, maybe to AWS or GCP to your repo, we're going to filter for those, and we're going to alert the service provider that that you've leaked those credentials and that they need to be rotated, right? So token scanning is hugely important. And if someone does get access to your source code tool or any of your log files, anything like that, sometimes if we do accidentally push our tokens, it would be available there too. So by enabling token scanning, when your developers are actually pushing code and blocking the push or invalidating the token, we eliminate a lot of future headaches and possible intrusions like we've seen. So from our auditing capability perspective, we released a GraphQL API. So if you're familiar with GraphQL, it's basically an evolution of the RESTful service, okay? So instead of having, a single API endpoint that you have to query, kind of chronologically to get the information you want, you make one comprehensive request for the specific audit log data that you're looking for across your org, and you can just audit your organization pretty effectively with that. And then it's good to know, if you're using not our on-prem instance, but actually GitHub Enterprise Cloud or github.com, right, making a distinction there that you can host it on your own infrastructure. A lot of folks are starting to migrate into cloud, so that's what I generally focus talks on. It's all encrypted at rest when it's on our infrastructure. And back to the personas pyramid, if we all missed that. So there's one interesting thing here that I'd like to share with you, is the Insights tab. So if you may already be familiar with this, maybe not if you're an individual contributor or you just use GitHub in your personal development. But if you're contributing to an organization, there's some pretty interesting insights that we pull from there. Some of them are just dependency insights, so we'll list out all the dependencies across your org. If there's vulnerabilities in those dependencies, we'll alert the org owner, hey, there's critical dependencies, moderate, right, low severity, that sort of thing. And we'll also give them insight into the types of licenses that your developers are pulling into their open source, or I'm sorry, to your private repositories. Because licensing has implications, right? You don't want to pull in a license that says any application built on top of this open source component, is subject to, being open source, right? Anybody should own your code. So there are licenses like that. Let's move on from insights. Cool. So what is open source to you? And I think we're going to talk just really quickly about open source itself. And then I'm going to hand it back off to Matt, who can talk us through some of the concept of inner sourcing, that philosophy. So I think what we were hoping to illustrate here with this screenshot is, first of all, if you've never seen a GitHub repository, meet GitHub. This is GitHub. And this is the Microsoft Docs organization on GitHub, where there's public documentation for developers, if they're building any sort of integrations or actually want to make a contribution to the docs. Maybe you notice that something's not right anymore, right? Or you want to add a piece of documentation just because you think it makes sense. Well, we want you to have the ability to do that, right? So this is the open source repository, Azure Docs, that actually gets deployed on Azure's actually public documentation site. And so if you want to know, just in terms of the scope, or that's perfect, yeah. So if you want to just know in terms of the scope and breadth of contributions that the open source community's made, it's not just 10 folks on the development team or developer relations team writing our documentation. It's everyone here can make a contribution, and that's why it's so powerful, right? So there's 4,000 plus pull requests merged, so contribution suggestions that have been reviewed by the team and either merged or not, right? So some of those contributions, our team says, hey, that's great, let's include that, and others not so much. But just gives you an idea of the scope and breadth of how the open source community contributes to our docs.
Okay. Yeah, all right, sweet, my Mac works. Okay, so let's kind of talk about the idea of inner source compared to open source. By a show of hands, anyone know what inner source is or have heard it? Got like 2.5. Excellent. All right. So inner source is the idea of taking the contribution method or the contribution workflow of open source and applying it to behind your firewall, right? So the idea would be allowing developers or the people within your organization to collaborate and contribute to projects outside of, say, their team's purview or the project that their team is typically assigned to. So we're really kind of breaking down some of the silos that have been created over the last, 20 plus years that everyone's kind of familiar with, right? Like your team, your project, your budget, that's the only thing that you're focused on as opposed to the entire organization. If we start to break down some of the walls between those silos, you're able to start utilizing resources that already exist within your organization. You, instead of opening up, like, say, another job rec, right? You can actually just rely on another team that already exists. They already have people, they already have staff, and they can help you solve problems. Or maybe, as a common example, you and 7 other teams within your organization stop making new login screens. You can kind of all just create a single one that works for all of you, right? So stop reinventing the wheel, start reusing things. So thanks to my friend Ron Burgundy here. The idea is to just kind of increase your collaboration across teams. That can be done via a couple of different ways. On the GitHub platform, we heavily rely on things called teams. So from an organization standpoint, you're going to have your organization, so the company that you work at, or maybe the team that you work at. Your teams are the people that you work with, and then you as a user. You can make teams that aren't just specific to whatever project you're working on, right? So you can actually create teams specific to like knowledge bodies. So if maybe you have a group of people that are Java experts or CSS experts, or the inner sorcerers at GitHub, right? You can create these teams that are kind of ad hoc that people can jump in and join and then provide input or feedback to other teams within an organization, as opposed to just a specific team that's based on whatever project you're working on. So one of the tenets of inner source, kind of going high level here, if you have questions about inner source and you see me walking around, feel free to bug me. It's like something that I really, really like to talk about. So within the tenets of inner source is the idea of transparency. So your project is typically open, and then you have the idea of transparency as well. So in an open repository, you're able to see why decisions were made via either discussions in a Jira ticket or an issue on GitHub. But transparency is actually the ability to identify, like, how easy is it to see how this process was, or why this decision was made, right? It's different from seeing someone say, we went with this decision, and actually being able to see how that decision was made, either via the comments of the pull request or the issue itself. The idea being, you can actually kind of see the history. You're able to point to things so that when someone 2 years from now says, hey, we should go implement another hamburger menu on our website, we can identify why that was a bad decision, 2 years ago. So just kind of creating a better idea of how things are being done within your team. And a major component of InnerSource is the idea of teamwork, going back to the original idea of like removing some of the silos that exist within your organization. You get to start to see more of the people within your organization as a whole as your team, as opposed to the team that you directly work with on a regular basis. You're able to start relying on people within an organization to help you ship things quicker. And again, like I said, you get to kind of rely on resources that already exist within an organization as opposed to creating new job recs. And waiting through, the hiring process on onboarding and whatnot. So here's a really fun image. So we actually use something that's very similar to an open source model when it comes to InnerSource. The idea being here, if you have an open source project that you contribute to, does anyone contribute to open source? Okay, like double the number of people that know about InnerSource. So excellent, so a good audience. So as a user of open source, right, you might identify that you have, say, a feature that you need, or it's buggy, it's not working correctly. So you might contribute back to that specific repository. You might say, hey, it'd be really nice if we had this feature. Maybe I'd like to be able to save my stuff. Or maybe something doesn't work. So you are contributing back to that open source project because you want to make it better for you and apparently better for other people. But your experience as a contributor on that open source repository will influence if you decide to become a maintainer, because you would continually contribute. So if someone greets you, they're friendly, they say, oh, hey, that's a great idea, awesome. Or if they come in and they're like, that's terrible, go away, you're not going to come back. But if they greet you, they're nice, then you're going to continually come back and say, hey, what about this feature? Or what about fixing this bug or whatever? And as you contribute more and more and more, you're more likely to eventually become like a maintainer level. So that's when you're like an active participant in the community and you're kind of driving this open source project forward. You can literally take that concept in the open source world and apply it to the InnerSource world. So if you treat your users internally, so let's say that we have a project for an internal application, if we think of our users as paying customers, and so when they report a bug or they request a feature, we're treating them like they're paying us, they're going to have a good experience, right? So as they're having a better and better experience, they're going to identify that they can create an issue in your repository on GitHub and that they get greeted nicely and they get treated well, so they want to keep coming back. So then they eventually kind of become like this contribution or contributor from across the organization, kind of help drive the development of this tool. And then long term, they might eventually become like a maintainer. So yeah, I really like that image because it kind of shows you how if you play well with others at the user level, like you can eventually have more people within an organization who actually want to see your project be successful. Okay, and then a new feature that we have on GitHub specific to like the idea of InnerSource is if we have an organization where we either have a public or a private repository. In a public sense, anyone's able to see it. However, if we're on, say, something like GitHub Cloud, we wouldn't necessarily want everyone to see it out in the public. But we don't necessarily want every repository to be private, because in a private repository, everyone within the organization would need to have access to it. So we have this new feature called Internal, which basically keeps this repository open to anyone within the organization. So it's kind of like a public, but only for people that work with us. So that's kind of the idea here. It kind of helps create internal visibility to the different projects without having to worry about access rights or access permissions, as long as they're part of our organization as a whole. And then just this is like a quick definition, especially when I only saw a couple hands go up with open source. We're going to throw out some terms in a moment. This is kind of like a breakdown of what those are. Not necessarily going to read them to you, but basically when we're talking about GitHub, these are the things that you're going to be dealing with on a regular basis. By a show of hands, anyone using GitHub now? Yes. Awesome. Anyone thinking about moving to GitHub? Yes. Okay. Excellent. So yes, these are important. If you have questions about them, hit us up later.
Great.
That's you.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about secure development with GitHub. I love that a lot of you raise your hands with, that you're already using GitHub. So hopefully some of this isn't too redundant for you. We're going to just talk about, just before you go forward, so we're going to talk about the GitHub flow, which is how we manage our contributions at GitHub. And some of that might be really familiar. Hopefully the other concepts that we overlay on top of that, which are a little bit more advanced, will be interesting. So what I had said before stands true, and this is basically what we're going to be talking about doing, is how can we, as an organization, deliver high-quality, tested, and secure code faster. That's how I tried to encapsulate like 1,000 discussions that we've had with enterprise customers. We're talking about using GitHub and optimizing on GitHub. So this is it if I could boil it down to just one sentence. And so this is the GitHub flow. Okay, so this is how your developers will actually make contributions to repos on GitHub. There are certain variations of this flow, but this is what we do internally, to actually build the platform. So if you're not already familiar with it, I'll just walk you through it very quickly. In Git, not just necessarily in GitHub, a lot of these concepts remain the same. So if you're going to make a contribution, if you're going to build a feature, you would have what is your repository on GitHub, right? We saw that on a screenshot a little while ago. And so if I'm a developer and I'm checking in on Monday morning at 9, let's be realistic, 9:45-ish, after I've gotten my coffee for the day, I would create a branch off the master version of my application, okay? And that branch is going to have really descriptive, declarative naming in order to kind of describe what feature it is that I'm developing, okay? And so I open this branch. It's a different, we're branching off of that initial version or that master version of your application. And then I would actually make contributions there, right? So I'm going to write some code throughout the day, not a lot of code, but a little bit of code. So I'm going to write these commits, which are very atomic changes that I'm making to the application. And then after those commits have been made, after I'm kind of satisfied that, hey, maybe this should be stored somewhere external to my local machine even, I would push that code up to my repository, right? And then when I'm confident that it satisfies the feature that I was trying to build for the day or maybe the week, I would open a pull request. And so this is this is a developer's way of saying, hey, I want to make a change to the application source code, right? This is saying that I think that this feature, what I've developed, satisfies these business requirements, technical requirements that you've passed down to our team. And so what's really interesting here, and the reason that this is so important, is because a conversation happens here. And Matt did a really good job talking about this in the inner source case, where we have folks who are delivering features, even internally at GitHub, the hamburger menu, one too many hamburger menus, and we're trying to go back and justify why why we shipped that feature. Well, if you have a pull request that you've opened and you have a conversation there, maybe not just between your developer and other developers, but your developer and the QA, your developer and the BA, right? Or maybe in the future, product managers are coming on and validating some of those changes that you're making and that they satisfy the requirements. So a pull request is super important, and that's where you're reviewing the changes that you made. And of course, after everything's been well tested, well vetted, you can merge that back into your master branch. And so actually what's interesting here, I didn't say quite correctly, is that we actually ship this feature branch before merging it back into master. So at any given time, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this publicly, but at any given time when you're using github.com, it's not the master branch. It's some other feature branch that we're swapping dynamically in front of you, as we're actually making and shipping changes. And that's kind of a cool thing because if there is a breaking change or all hell breaks loose, we can always roll back to master, right? So we're always shipping these feature branches. You're never on master, and we can always roll back if things fall through. Beautiful. So there's a lot going on here, a lot of check marks and additions to the GitHub flow. I think what we were really hoping to illustrate here is that if you want to take your GitHub flow to the next level, which means you're taking your contributions that you're doing on GitHub, not just from a personal context, but you start to do them professionally. These are some of the features that you're going to want to implement in your developer workflows. And I'm just going to give you a little sneak peek. I think either Matt or myself will talk more in depth about them later. But you want to make sure that your developers are not able to actually push the changes, those raw changes, before you've tested them and have a conversation about them back into master branch, right? That just seems like a bad practice. I think we can all agree with. Something that's really interesting next during the commit stage is two things. So required statuses, right? You want to make sure that if you're actually going to open a pull request or merge a pull request, that all your tests are passing. And so you can do that programmatically on GitHub, and it actually reflects in the UI really nicely. The required statuses is huge. GPG commit signing is basically trying to satisfy a known loophole or vulnerability in Git itself. And so what it does is, and Matt's going to talk about it later, but it just validates the identity of the person who's pushing their code, okay? And so we can say confidently that the developer who pushed this code was in fact the author, right? Not somebody else who's claiming to be that developer and signing that commit as such. And so that reflects in the UI that all your commits have been validated, that they're check marked, that this has been actually developed by the person who says they developed it, and that's a nice thing when you're looking back to make sure you're not introducing vulnerabilities or possible attack vectors. Okay, so one more thing I'll talk about here, and then get this crazy slide out of our face. Code owners. Okay, so code owners is really cool, and Matt talked about it earlier. So what you can do is you can codify the ownership of your application on GitHub. All right, so you can codify the ownership of your application on GitHub. And what that means is, and I think we'll see an example in a little while, is that you can have specific directories. Maybe, if it's your front end, if you have either a mono repo, or in some cases, folks who specialize in certain services, right? If I'm a developer who built a specific service in your app, when you make a change to that specific service or directory, maybe I want to get notified about that. And in order to actually define who's going to get notified when different changes are happening across your app, or across your repository, you can use this code owners file that's defined alongside your code in your repository. So again, subscribing to that philosophy, everything as code, configuration, pipelines, code owners, all that stuff living in your repo, kind of where it makes sense to have it, right?
Okay, so we got give or take 13 minutes before you get to rush off to happy hour, so we're going to kind of blow through some features for you, right? All right, so the first thing that we want to talk about is so the idea of an issue is basically where your new feature or your bug is identified. So that's kind of the beginning of the GitHub flow. At GitHub, we use it obviously to identify our new features, report bugs. We're also using it to identify meeting notes, use it for our weekly status within our team, and I actually use it to ask for time off. So this is actually me asking for Thanksgiving off. That's the real issue. DG Peach is my boss. But we use issues for when we request time off because we use GitHub to build GitHub. So there's our issues. And then at the pull request side, oh, right. So we also have issue templates. So if you and your team are using issues, you're able to create multiple issues or issue templates so that you get the information that you need from your teammates when they want to report a bug, report a new feature. And you're able to identify what that issue template's for and when people should be using it. It's a really nice feature, especially that's just a handful. I think the services team has 20 plus templates that we use on a regular basis. You're able to assign owners and labels to it. And then speaking of labels, you're able to kind of provide a GUI label to your individual issues and pull requests. It makes it easier for people to identify what that specific issue or pull request is for, related to, whether it's a release or maybe it's just to identify that it's a bug. Maybe it's something for onboarding. It's different things. And then at the organization level at GitHub, you're actually able to kind of define what those labels should be for every repository that's created within your organization. That's a new ship that just happened, I don't know, less than a month ago. So now whenever someone creates a repository, they can have labels automatically created for them, which is really, really helpful, especially from an inner source point of view. Within a pull request, we're able to reference an issue so that at the bottom of that picture, you'll see closes and then a number. So that's actually closing a pull request or an issue, issue number 2 specifically. So as soon as this pull request is merged, my issue will be closed. That just keeps my repository tidy. And then if we look at the issue itself, it's referenced. So we can see that fixed by number 10 or 11. Those are 2 pull requests that are actually referencing that specific issue. As soon as one of those gets merged, the issue gets closed, and again, it just kind of keeps our repository clean, right? Another thing that we're now able to do is link to other sources of, say, issue management. In this case, it's a quick GIF. They're setting it up with Zendesk, but you're actually able to set it up so that if someone types ZD dash and then some numbers, it'll actually create a link to those different tickets. So if you use a system outside of GitHub issues, you're actually able to create quick references to those things, which is really, really helpful, because then it provides context to what the pull request is for. And then we're also we've added new roles to your specific repositories. You're actually able to assign people the maintain and the triage, so they don't necessarily have to have the exact same write, read, or admin access that we used to have. We're now actually kind of granularize those permissions. Yeah. Okay. So protected branches. It's a feature that we released about 4 years ago. Protected branches allows organizations to stop requiring people to fork repos. And that's because you're actually allowing people to write code and create branches on your repository without being able to merge into, say, a master or a develop branch, depending on your workflow. Next. We can pass that. So protected branches allow you to use like a naming convention. So if you have a develop or a feature or a release or whatever, you're able to assign specific protections to those branches based on like their name. Before you used to have to assign it to an individual branch. Now you can kind of broad brush stroke it. So we can keep going. Yeah. All right. So some of the things that we're able to do at the protected branch level. We can require people to review it, and then we can assign a number to that. We can require specific status checks, so any tests that we have, we can make sure that those tests pass before it can be merged. And then we're actually able to also restrict who's allowed to merge into that specific branch. And then we can also expect a signed commit as well. So we can keep going. Code review and code owners. So this is another feature on GitHub. This is actually assigning reviewers to the code changes in the pull request automatically via what's called a code owners file. And then code review itself is the ability to expect a certain number of people to review the changes on that pull request. So we're actually able to kind of protect our code. We're actually able to make sure that it's getting reviewed before it's getting merged in. So we're not shipping anything that's getting broken or that it will break it. And so there's this video. We don't have a lot of time. It's in the presentation, which I'm sure you'll be able to download. The basic concept here is Darth Vader switches the deal on Lando, and he wants to take Princess Leia and Chewbacca. I'm sure people remember that. So we're actually going to flip that. We're going to use GitHub to do this. So Darth Vader is actually going to change the deal on GitHub as opposed to in that specific location. Almost there. There's a bunch. Here we go. Nothing, no laughs? None. Okay. That was really hard. Okay. So here we go. Here's our pull. So here is our pull request. We can see that Darth Vader wants to alter the deal. We can see that Lando is a suggested reviewer over there on the right-hand side. And then we're actually adding Boba Fett as a reviewer as well because he was there, if we all remember that scene, being kind of shady in the background. Keep going. All right, so now we can see that Darth Vader's requested review for this specific pull request. So this is real, right? We're actually able to kind of review or request review, and we can see the 2 orangish dots on the right letting us know that neither person has actually reviewed these specific changes. And so here, Lando's going to come in, provide some comments, actually kind of review that specific code, which we can see on the left. And Lando's like, hey, you were going to leave these people under my supervision, and so he requests changes, right? Like, because that's not part of the deal. The deal was that he got to keep Leia and Chewbacca. Darth Vader's probably not going to be too happy with this review, but let's see what happens. So here we can see requested changes, big red X. That means we're not going to be able to merge. However, if we look kind of at the bottom, you can actually see that this branch is, there's no conflicts. It's ready to merge. And so if we keep moving forward, we can see that we're actually able to merge this pull request even though we have requested changes. And that's because we forgot to select a certain checkbox in our review. There we go. We can actually see that we have a checkbox within the specific repository that you won't be able to merge into a branch if it has reviews that aren't passing. So in this case, we can see that it goes away, right? And then keep going. So we can see, oh, right, okay. So we can see at the top, Boba Fett approved these changes, right? And then we can see that Darth Vader made a commit afterwards. You go ahead. The reason that Boba Fett's changes went away, oh, this is a different slide. Oh. So the reason that his change went away is because we actually had an option selected that whenever someone makes a new commit after getting an approval, it'll dismiss that approval. So we're preventing people from shipping code that's wrong just because someone else approved it 2 days ago. So here we're actually able to identify that only specific people are able to push into this or dismiss pull request reviews using this checkbox. So like if you need an admin to dismiss things because someone's on vacation, you can do that. You can also make it so that admins have to follow all the rules. They're not able to live, above the law, as it were. And so here, Darth is like, I'm altering the deal with it. Lando's like, I'm not gonna risk my life for this one. And so he approves it, and then now we're able to merge. So that's Star Wars on GitHub in Orlando, right? Okay. So we have a bunch more content. We have 4 minutes. I'd love to open the floor to questions that you might have. If you don't have questions, there's a happy hour in 15 minutes. I'm sure there's lines already. I know how this stuff works, but sure.
You may not know the answer to this, but how is GitHub being under the Microsoft umbrella related to Azure repos?
Oh. Okay, so the question, if you didn't hear, was how is GitHub related to Azure repos, if I'm paraphrasing?
That's it.
Wow, I'm really good at that. I haven't been given that one. Marketing hasn't told me what to say.
Yeah, so I think we've been having a lot of conversations with enterprise customers that have gone all in on Azure, on Azure DevOps. I think the communication has been pretty clear from the top down that Azure DevOps is not going anywhere anytime soon, right? That's been very clear. Microsoft is going to continue to invest in Azure DevOps, including Azure repos. Now, what is interesting, what is interesting is that some of the leadership from the Azure DevOps team is now matrixed into the GitHub organization, leading GitHub Enterprise as well. And so I think the new vision that we're sharing with our customers is previously behind closed doors, obviously not anymore. It's generally public, is that the medium to long term, your code should probably be stored on GitHub. GitHub is going to be the center of the source control, version control system world for the medium to long term. And you can also start to look that direction when we start to look at features like CI/CD, or pipelines versus actions, right? And what's really interesting about that is Actions backbone is pipelines. So we get a lot of the, we're using the same infrastructure, which means GitHub customers get the benefit of a mature platform already, even though we shipped the feature, I don't know, 6 weeks ago, something like that, right? In the CI/CD space. Does that give you some direction?
Yeah,
Great, thank you.
Yeah, I have a question about code owners. Was that a file you attached to your repository? And can you define code owners on folders or files?
Yeah, really good question. So the answer is yes to all of the above. It was a file store. It was in the repo. I think Matt's going to bring up an example. Yeah. Do you want to take that?
Yeah. So the question was what is code owners? So code owners is a file in the repository itself. It looks like this. So it's all capitals, no extension, which is kind of interesting. But we're actually able to, if we look here in this example, Yoda is going to get code review assigned on everything. Anything inside that has the file like Jedi in it is going to be Yoda and Mace Windu. Anything that's a .md is going to go to the docs team at deathstar.com. You can see the build logs is dealt with by the stormtroopers here. Languages obviously is going to be C3PO, that kind of thing. So we're able to identify specific folders, file types, all of that. What's really nice is that teams thing. So going back to the inner source combo, if you have teams that have specific knowledge areas, so like, let's say it's a web app and it's a CSS thing, you can have people within the entire organization who are familiar with CSS that get a ping on it. They don't necessarily have to review it, but it's something that is useful. The code owners feature is constantly evolving, so more and more features around code owners will probably be shipping. So as it currently sits, it's great, and it'll probably get better.
Cool.
Any other question? Yeah. Oh, two. Let's go with the guy behind you, and then yeah. What kind of package?
Yeah, for GitHub package repo.
Okay.
Yeah. So what is the list of new? We're actually updating it all the time, so the slide might actually be out of date. But well, I'll bring that up. Why don't you get the next?
Yeah, there was another question.
Sure.
Do you have any Teams integrations with this, so you can get notified on Teams?
Oh, so specific to like Microsoft Teams? Yeah, so the question's integrations. Yes, so we have a lot of chat ops integrations specifically with Microsoft Teams and Slack. So you're actually able to build into both of those. I would imagine if you look at like the Microsoft Teams site under integrations, I believe there's one specific for GitHub. If not, it might be the other way around. Yep. Thank you. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, and I think really quickly, because we don't have the slide I was thinking of, it is now pip. Definitely Java, so Maven, NPM, Docker. Docker is also supported, and there's a list in our documentation of like every technology that we support. So hopefully I touched on one of them that you care about. Yeah. Cool. Well, hey, I don't think we want to hold you hostage here, right? Unless we do. Okay.
I mean, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you have money?
Well, thank you so much for your time, everyone. Thank you.